Sometimes being too generous backfires in the worst way. From allergic roommates and controlling boyfriends to overstepping family, today's stories ask one question. When you stand your ground, does that make you the bad guy or just the only sane one left? This one starts with a vegan couple, a peanut allergy, and a roommate who just couldn't keep his hands off other people's food, until karma came with an EpiPen.
Am I the asshole for not caring that my housemate had an allergic reaction? Hi guys. I know the title is wild, but it is not what you think. I, 25 female, have been dating my boyfriend Larry, 30 male, we're vegan, for the last 2 years. He's great. About 9 months ago, we rented a house with 3 other roommates, David, 29 male, vegan, Michael, 29 male, and Tina, 24 female. Michael and Tina are together and are not vegan but will eat vegan meals. Michael is severely allergic to peanuts. We all have our own spaces and share the kitchen, living room, and laundry area. Some Sundays, my boyfriend makes family meals, big pans of pasta so everyone can eat and we will have leftovers for work. This is and was only a stepping stone for us, BF and I, and them. So we knew after the year was up, we wouldn't be renewing. So we all figured we could band together for the year so we could all put ourselves in better positions. And the first 6 months were great and flew by. But then, David lost his job. Tina and Michael had a few problems and Tina moved out. It was all unexpected, but that's a them issue. As long as you stick to the agreed terms or have an agreeable conversation, we don't have an issue. But the next month or so, Larry and I started noticing a lot of the same patterns. We were buying all the groceries. We were the only ones cooking, but everyone was eating. And nobody was putting in on food or household necessities. Now Tina left, but Michael still has a job. He doesn't cook, barely shops, but will DoorDash every day. Tina did all his shopping and cooking, so when she left, all that stopped. But it was a little while before we noticed because we were in our own little world and what we got going on. David does a little of both. He cooks and DoorDash, but hasn't grocery shopped for himself since he lost his job. Now, I come from a family that will help anyone. My grandma has fed and clothed so many people that it's just instilled in me. So at first, understanding that David was not working and all the guys have been best friends since the sandbox, Larry and I had no problem letting David use some of our groceries to eat. But it was starting to get frustrating when we were feeling like we were being taken advantage of, especially when our food/leftovers come up missing. We had unopened boxes of rice, only have 1 bag in it. We're spending a fortune in household supplies, and we're the only ones doing it. Ooh, also, Tina moved back in partially 2 months later. So Michael and Tina had food again, but now you couldn't borrow anything, or Michael would say that's Tina's when she wasn't home. So you can scarf down our pan of pasta, but we can't have a few fries until we hit the store? And you know we are going to hit the store. So on to the actual story. I went home for a family barbecue, and my family is not vegan, so I brought my own food, burgers and sausages. My uncle is our family's world-class chef who turns nothing into something, and no matter what it is, and it's always the best thing you've ever tasted. So he was trying out a new creation at the barbecue, of a homemade frying grease that had peanut oil in it. He made my burgers in it, and I brought 10 home in a to-go box and put them in the refrigerator on our shelf. About 6 hours later, my boyfriend and I are up in the room, gaming, and we hear David yelling for Tina. So we run downstairs, and Tina is sticking Michael with an EpiPen, and I immediately assessed the scene and realized what happened. Once he got stable enough, Tina and David took Michael to the hospital. When they left, I told my boyfriend exactly what I knew had happened. I guess Michael had the same revelation, and once released from the hospital, came back upset. He's so meticulous with his allergy. So Larry and I are in the kitchen when they arrive, and he asked us about it. Larry is always a vocal person, and I'm shy, non-confrontational type. But something in me this day snapped, and before Larry could answer, I straight-faced turned to him and said, "You ate those burgers with peanut oil in it." He immediately starts screaming at me, and Larry stood in front of me and said, "Oh no, not at this one. Direct that energy somewhere else." And I said, "It's your own fault. It wasn't yours and you didn't even ask. You got exactly what you wanted." Larry, being 6'4" and 320 pounds, to Michael's 5'10" and 180 pounds, he calmed down and went into his room. Tina called me an asshole for saying that and followed him. Larry made sure I was good, and David tried to lighten the mood, and I went on him too for eating 5 of my burgers and probably encouraging Michael to get one, knowing they weren't theirs. So, am I the asshole?
So what do you think? Was she too cold or just standing her ground? Would you feel guilty if the person who ignored your boundaries ended up in the hospital? Let me know below. Let's move from allergic reactions to emotional ones. Because the next story asks how far people will go just to look respectable, and how one small piece of jewelry sparks a much bigger conversation about identity and respect.
Am I the asshole for refusing to take out my nose piercing before meeting my boyfriend's parents for the first time? I, 26 female, have had my nose pierced since I was 20. It's small, neat, and honestly feels like a part of me now. My boyfriend, 29 male, has always known me with it. He even said he liked it when we first met. In the few months we've been together, he's never once complained about it or acted like it was an issue. His elder sister is getting married soon, and will be attending the wedding together. His parents will be there too, but they want to meet me privately before the wedding. Yesterday, my boyfriend met me and said that I would be taking off the nose ring when I'm going to see his parents. I asked him why, and he said his parents are very traditional and will feel embarrassed. They feel like good girls would not have piercings. He also said it's just for one day and it would show respect. I told him I'm not taking it out because it's not hurting anyone and it's part of who I am. Since then, he's been frowning and acting distant, saying I'm making things difficult and caring more about jewelry than peace. My friend said I should have accepted to take it off for the meeting, but to me, it's the principle. If I start removing things that represent me now, where does it end? So, am I the asshole for refusing to remove my nose piercing before meeting my boyfriend's parents for the first time?
It's wild how something so small can expose such big insecurities. Was she standing up for herself or just making things harder than they had to be? And finally, when it comes to family, some people don't just cross boundaries, they sprint past them. When a baby's born too early, every visit, every touch, every breath matters. But try telling that to someone who won't listen.
Am I the asshole for looking out for my niece? I, 33 female, have 2 brothers, Seth, 32, and Terry, 29. Seth is, how should I put this, immature when it comes to sensitive subjects. For example, when our dog died when we were kids, first thing he said while everyone was crying was, "I'll lead the sermon." Terry and his wife Sarah, 29, just had a baby a few days ago. Baby Nora is 7 weeks premature, weighing at 4 pounds 3 ounces. Sarah and Nora had to stay a couple extra days because one of Nora's ears is underdeveloped, already displaying hearing problems, and was jaundiced. Meanwhile, Seth's been asking when he could stop by and see the baby, completely ignoring her condition. Sarah and Nora were cleared to go home today. Instead of being reasonable and asking if it was okay, Seth immediately invited himself over to see the baby. "I'll be over later." I told him not to go and let Sarah and Terry get home and begin adjusting to parenthood. They had a grueling few days with complications. Not to mention, Nora is a preemie and really shouldn't be around other people as of yet. I told Seth, be respectful and wait till Terry invites him over instead of inviting himself. Seth made the argument that he's going out of town and just wants to be the fun uncle and spend time with the baby. I said that's nice, but she's not going anywhere. Give it a few weeks when she's stronger. Let Sarah and Terry rest, and let Nora get comfortable in her new home. Seth said I was being bitchy about this. Am I the asshole for looking out for my baby niece?
Was she protecting her niece or overstepping? Drop a comment below. I want to see how many of you would have done the same thing.